So you can just close your eyes. And once you do that, you're shutting off all the external visual stimulation, at least. And just take a deep breath. And if you breathe through your nose, you're going to get more of that benefit to your relaxing your nervous system. And if you want, you can, I invite you to, as you're inhaling, you kind of open up your chest, let your shoulders fall back. Maybe you look up just a tad bit and you let that belly fall out and fill up with air. And then when you exhale, you're kind of doing the opposite, right? You're tucking in the belly button and curving the shoulders forward a little bit. Maybe you look down a little bit. So you can inhale, opening up. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And keep breathing like that. And I'm going to explain a little bit to you. We're going to just take a moment to bring our focus inward to the body. And we're going to just make an effort to relax the body a little bit more. The breath can do that, but bringing our attention inward can do it as well. So just bring your attention to the crown of your head and relax that area. And then bring your attention to your forehead and your eyes and the area surrounding your eyes, and just take a moment to just relieve any tension in that area. And now concentrate on your face, your cheeks, tongue, jaw, relaxing those areas, relieving any tension there. And then bring your effort to your attention to your throat and your neck, internally and externally, relieving any pressure there. Now concentrate on your shoulders, your arms, your hands, letting them droop a little, relaxing those areas. And bring your attention to your spine, your back, relieving any tension there. And now bring your attention to your chest. Externally, you can even feel your clothing against your skin. And internally, relaxing your outer and inner area. Now bring your attention to your belly. Again, focusing on the skin, the outer area. And then internally, your organs, allowing them to relax. And now bring your attention to your thighs. Just relieving any tension in that area there. Relaxing deeper and deeper as you go. And concentrate on your knees, relieving any tension there. Going deeper, getting more relaxed. Bring your attention to your calves. Release any tension there. Relaxing. And now concentrate on your toes. Relaxing. And focus on the bottoms of your feet and your heels. And just feel your body relaxing, relieving tension. You can inhale, and then as you exhale, relieving more tension from your body, letting it go. Relaxing more deeply every time. And now for a moment, I'd like you to imagine a scene that feels good to you. It could be a nice, beautiful, warm day on the beach, feeling the warm breeze on your skin, the sand between your toes, hearing the water, the waves coming into the shore. Or it could be a walk in the woods. The trees are blowing in the breeze. You could smell the leaves in the woods. It feels so nice. Or it could be some other scene that feels nice to you. Something that's tranquil and pleasing. And just take a moment to be in that space. So nice to feel so relaxed. And now I'm going to invite you to bring your attention back to the present moment. You can keep your eyes closed for a few more seconds. And we're going to count up from 1 to 5. And when we get to 5, you're going to open your eyes and feel more relaxed than you were before. 1, 2, 3, 4, coming out now, 5, and you can open your eyes. How'd that feel?
Great.
I think it took us about 7 minutes. You could probably do it more quickly, on your own, but like 7 minutes to feel a little bit more relaxed, it's worth the time, right? So hello, everybody. Carla, hi, I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome.
Hi, good to be here.
Hi, Carla. Hi to everybody. So hi, Amy. We're going to talk about hormones, Robin. And yeah, there's so much that we could talk about with this topic. I mean, it could really just go on for days and days. But we're not going to do that. We're going to focus, because we're talking about perimenopause and menopause, we're going to focus on the 3 main sex hormones. And keep in mind that each of these hormones, we think of it as estrogen, but estrogen comes in many different shapes and sizes and forms. So just, I want you to be aware of that. We can't cover every single aspect of each of these hormones because, again, we'd be here for days. But I wanted to give you an overview of what these hormones do in the body, what happens when they get out of whack, and some suggestions of things that we can do to alleviate some of the issues that people can have. And then I want to talk a little bit about sleep and stress, and then go into Q&A. So because it's a lot, even just that is like a lot, I'm going to move relatively quickly through this. And there's a recording, so I can download the PDF and send it to you if you want. But I want to make sure we have time for some, Q&A discussion, that sort of thing at the end. And just so you know, I have created a little mini program. We created a little mini program that you can do like self-guided about hormones. And then we created a full-on coaching program, like a 6-month coaching program. So that's sort of the impetus for doing this call. And then, this is like level 1, step 1. And then if you want to move forward, you can, but you're going to get a lot of good information today. So you could run with it, or you could do more. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to go into sharing the screen now, and we're going to start. Let's start with progesterone, because I think it's the one of progesterone and testosterone and estrogen. We're going to talk about those today. Progesterone and testosterone, I think, are less talked about than estrogen, but they're just as important. So I'm going to go into screen share here, and bear with me for a moment. I have to get it into presentation mode. Oh, hold on a sec. Okay, move that up. Okay. So progesterone, I like to call it the relax and rest hormone. And progesterone and estrogen are sister hormones. That's really, really important for you to understand. If anybody ever suggests to you that you should take estrogen and then doesn't also suggest progesterone, go talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about. Unfortunately, it's not so uncommon for people to get treated with just estrogen, and that is highly problematic. So most of us know that progesterone is involved, in the menstruation, pregnancy, lactation, very involved there. It also supports thyroid function, which you may not have been aware of. And it helps us feel relaxed and sleep well. It also helps us breathe properly, which is something you may not know about. And I'll explain the connection to why that's important for you to know that in a moment. So I'm going to talk about when progesterone is low or out of balance. Out of balance means progesterone and estrogen are sister hormones. And if they're not balanced in the proper ratios, then that can cause problems. So typically perimenopause, we're not going to focus on what happened in our teens and 20s and 30s so much. Perimenopause can start in late 30s. But what starts to happen for most women is that progesterone starts to go down, but estrogen still kicking. And that causes a big problem because now they're out of balance. So typically what let's say a 45 or a 50-year-old woman is going to be experiencing is estrogen dominance due to low progesterone. So how would you fix that problem? Not by getting rid of estrogen, but by boosting progesterone. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So if your progesterone is out of balance, you're going to probably have sore breasts. You might feel bloating. You might have menstrual cycle issues, low libido, migraines, headaches, depression, anxiety, sleep interruptions. So there's a lot of stuff that can be going on with when progesterone is out of balance. And a lot of these we might think, oh, that sounds like menopause, right? That sounds like what, and perimenopause is really what we think of when we think of menopause. Menopause is one day. It's your last period, right? But perimenopause is this long period from age late 30s, potentially into mid 50s, where we're going through a lot of these changes. So as I said, as you enter perimenopause, progesterone levels drop, and that can cause sleep issues, mood, weight, and cycle issues. All of this lovely perimenopause stuff that we're dealing with. Why is this not? Okay, there we go. So how do we balance progesterone? Manage stress. It is not a coincidence that we started this call with a very short meditation. Stress is the biggest problem that most of us have in our health. If we could reduce stress and be relaxed and calm all day long, like we were meant to be, things would clear up quickly. The problem is, stress is stress, right? It's there and we got to figure out how to deal with it and all of that. If you've already passed, if you're closer to menopause, or you've actually passed into, you're in the the menopause state, period's done and gone, right? Then your progesterone and your estrogen are being produced, and your testosterone are being produced in your adrenal glands, no longer coming from the ovaries. The ovaries are done, shut down, closed for business. So if you are stressed and you are postmenopausal, you are compromising the production of progesterone, testosterone, and estrogen. Okay, are you hearing how important this is? If you are stressed and you are postmenopausal or close to menopause, that means your ovaries are not producing these hormones, and they got to come from somewhere. They're either going to come from your adrenals, or you're going to take them exogenously, right? You put a cream or you take a pill. So if you're stressed, then your adrenal glands are not going to produce those hormones because, does anybody know why? You could call out if you do. Does anybody know why stress would reduce the production of progesterone or estrogen or testosterone in the adrenal glands? Okay, I'll tell you that. Because it's too busy, they're too busy producing cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone. It's produced in your adrenal glands. If you are stressed out, your body is producing cortisol way more than it should be, right? Sorry, not enough resources to give you those old sex hormones. Who needs those anyway? You're 60 years old. You don't need those. You're not having babies. Yes, we do. We want them. So stress, and that's going to cover every hormone that you could imagine. So then we have zinc is actually specific for progesterone, vitamins, B vitamins, vitamin C. There's something called chaste tree. Now, this is like it literally can wake you up. If you are still having your menses, right? You haven't gone through menopause yet. Chaste tree can be like a knight in shining armor for you because it naturally helps your body to produce progesterone. I've been taking chaste tree for almost 10 years now. Lifesaver, incredible. So it's totally safe. It's one of those supplements that's like really benign too. It's an herbal, it's a botanical. Of course, don't take any supplements unless you're under the care of somebody who's giving you guidance on that. Like, I don't want you to just go out and buy chaste tree. Talk to your doctor, talk to your nutritionist, talk to us, like if you're a client of ours, don't just go out and do it. But it's amazing. And then there's always bioidentical hormone treatment. Now, you can go to the doctor and you can get synthetic progestin, it's called, and it's synthetic and it just doesn't work as well in the body. If you get bioidentical hormones, that means that they're molecularly identical to the hormones that your body naturally makes. So they just work better in the body. They behave properly as opposed to the synthetics. So if you're going to go out and get this, you got to get it from a doctor pretty much, or like a nurse practitioner. Get the bioidentical stuff. So that's progesterone, and we're going to go out of screen share because I'm going to go right into, sorry, I have these slides in like different, doesn't matter, technical issue. You don't need to know. And I'm going to present, and we're going to talk about estrogen. So estrogen, I call it the voluptuous hormone. I see there's something in the chat, but I can't read it right now. I'll look at it after. I'll try to move through this as quickly as possible. Estrogen, the voluptuous hormone, right? When we think of low libido, what do we think of? Low estrogen, right? Well, there's a reason for that, right? Because it is involved in our sex drive. It affects our ovaries, our uterus, our vagina, our breasts. One of the biggest problems that people might have is vaginal dryness because of low estrogen. Nobody wants that. We want to be able to enjoy sexual pleasure until we die, I would hope. So estrogen can help with that. As I said, sister to progesterone, but estrogen does a lot in the body. I mean, if we think progesterone is doing a lot, forget about it. Estrogen is like all over the place. So it can make you feel really bad if it's out of control. So cardiovascular health, heart disease, low estrogen predisposes us to a greater risk for heart disease. So if you already went through menopause and your estrogen is low and you're stressed, so it's even lower, you don't have that protection. Same thing for bone. Oh, I can hear somebody talking. Make sure you mute yourself. Same thing for bone. I think we all know that osteopenia, osteoporosis becomes much more common later in life for women, right? It's because of low estrogen. Cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, dementia. Guess what estrogen does? It protects you against those things. It's protective. So if you're just out there, free styling it without any estrogen, you are exposed. Now, some people cannot take estrogen because they have a history of breast cancer or other kinds of hormonal-based cancers. If that's in your history, you need to talk with a medical doctor who is very experienced in this area. That way beyond my scope. So, but don't feel bad, because I from what I hear, speaking to doctors, there are methods to help with this as well. Again, outside of my scope, but estrogen is very important for these things. And of course, it can influence our mood, sex drive, body composition. That's what body comp is. That's your ability to burn fat, belly fat, all of that stuff, your skin, and so much more. Estrogen is our friend. We want her, but we want her to be balanced with progesterone. So when estrogen is out of balance, depression, anxiety, mood swings, sleep issues, menstrual cycle issues, dry skin, vaginal dryness, low libido, weight gain, especially on the hips, thighs, and waist, hot flashes and night sweats. What are we describing here? Basically perimenopause, right? But then a lot of women go into menopause and still experience a bunch of this stuff. Why? Probably because estrogen is just low. So it's more of, rather than thinking about things being high or low, it's better to think of it as being out of balance for the most part. And then when you pass into menopause, it's more usually just low. So I'll just skip through that. That's not that. I already said that. So how do we deal with estrogen? Well, manage stress, definitely postmenopausal, but even before that, get enough sleep, and also get enough movement. So if any of you are in perimenopause or menopause right now, you probably know that if you drink alcohol or you eat a lot of sugar, sometimes you get hot flashes or night sweats. That doesn't happen to everybody, but it's very common. So you might want to minimize those foods and increase cruciferous vegetables. Does anybody want to call out what cruciferous vegetables are? Broccoli, cauliflower, kale, bok choy, watercress, cabbage. Did I hear something?
Yes, cabbage. I was going to run in there with cabbage.
Cabbage, yes. There's a long list. Kohlrabi is a cruciferous vegetable. There are a lot of. Oh, that was Amy. Yes, Amy, my salad queen. So these cruciferous vegetables contain these plant constituents, and if you can see in the next box I wrote these crazy words: sulforaphane and glucoraphanin. And these are constituents that are living in cruciferous vegetables. So you can eat them in your diet, which I recommend because they're packaged so perfectly for us, right? But you can also take a supplement that will help your body to put estrogen in the right place. It's not only high estrogen that we have to worry about, it's also the wrong types of estrogens that are running around wreaking havoc in the body. Estrogen and progesterone and testosterone do not cause cancer. I repeat, they do not cause cancer. But when conditions are just right, they can help contribute to the development of cancer. Okay, so we don't want to blame them, but if they're out of whack and in the wrong form, they could potentially cause problems and contribute. So if you eat cruciferous vegetables or you take a supplement, the one that I take is called sulforaclear, that can help. Okay, little estrogen, you go over here now and you get broken down just like this and you stay like that. Don't go back to that. The molecules can get into these bad forms that are potentially damaging. So we gotta take care of them. In our modern environment, we are all exposed to exogenous damaging forms of estrogen, right? It's in the plastic and it's in our water. Like we are all exposed to bad estrogens. Let's just put it that way. These sorts of things can help, right? I didn't even mention it here, but in terms of detox, because you might want to detox some of that bad estrogen, sweating is amazing. So whether it's through exercise, which You can do that, right? Easily. Anybody can go out and take a brisk walk and sweat, or through doing a sauna. Sweat gets rid of toxins. So that's just a side note, but also one can do bioidentical hormone treatment. And I already talked about that. So I don't want to go into it in more detail unless someone has specific questions, and we can do that after. So so I covered the two ladies in the crowd. And now we are going to talk about the wonderful manly hormone, testosterone. And I call it the sexy hormone. I get really excited about this. Okay. In full disclosure, I started taking transdermal testosterone, bioidentical hormone, probably about, 3 years ago or so. My doctor, she's retired, but she was very well versed in sex hormones during perimenopause and menopause. And she said, how's your libido? And I said, well, it's okay. I don't know if it's because I've been married for 20 years or what, but it's not what it used to be. And she said, oh, why don't you try testosterone? And I love the lady ever since. It is amazing for sex drive. And some of you may have seen that I posted around town orgasms. So if testosterone is getting lower and lower and lower, the quality of our orgasms gets not so good. Not everybody, right? Some people. What's going to help that is testosterone. Yeah, baby. So I'm just saying, I get really excited talking about testosterone because it's awesome. So, but it does other things in the body. It supports our bone, important, right? As we age, muscle. So another thing that's really important for you to know is that as we age, that's my nice young 21-year-old daughter who has all her nice hormones, but she just called me. As we age, we lose muscle. That's just part of aging, unfortunately, and it accelerates. Once you're over 60, 65, that pace picks up. So if you want to be, 75, 85, 95, and still feel strong on your feet and have good balance and feel robust and energetic, you need muscle. You need muscle. It's essential. How do you slow down the inevitable decline in muscle? Well, one, you exercise, right? You use those muscles. 2, you eat plenty of protein. And 3, you got to have the testosterone. Testosterone is essential for your muscles. So I'm not telling anybody to go out and rush out and get bioidentical testosterone, but talk to your doctor about it if you think it might be an issue for you. And it's also involved in our reproductive health. So even though it's the predominant in men, we need testosterone for our reproductive health as well. It influences cognitive health and it supports sex drive, but also motivation, your get up and go. Like if you feel like, throughout menopause and now post-menopause, I don't really have that same like ambitious drive that I used to have, that could be testosterone. Yeah. And it promotes, a healthy mood and mental health. So really important. So testosterone so there's a whole discussion that we're not really going to get into just due to time. Testosterone can be low, which is more common, but some women have too much testosterone. So we're going to talk about that in a moment. But if testosterone is low, you might feel low libido, weak orgasms, just not horny anymore, testosterone can help with that. It also, interestingly, testosterone can help with your weight management. Mood swings, low energy, reduced bone density, very important, memory issues, and heart disease. So yeah, important, right? If you have high testosterone, and I see Michelle is on this call. Michelle is a midwife, a buddy of mine, and she probably knows all about this kind of thing because if sometimes people develop something called PCOS, you've probably heard of it. It's polycystic ovarian syndrome, but it's a syndrome. So it kind of comes with certain things, certain features, and one of them can be high testosterone. So if that's happening, the woman might develop acne, balding, and deepening of the voice. So that means you're kind of becoming more masculine, right? increased clitoris size, but low libido. That doesn't sound like fun. Increased muscle mass, which may be good, but if you have too much, you might not like that. Reduction in breast size, increased facial and body hair, and then, the PCOS. So I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to go right to what we can do about it. Again, manage stress, get enough sleep and movement. So your hormones are like, they're like very sensitive in-laws. Well, just think about your in-laws if you have them, or imagine what it would be like to have them. You gotta manage them well, right? You gotta be nice. Your hormones are like that too. They're delicate. They can get out of whack. So if you're not sleeping and you're all stressed out and you're not exercising, you're not eating well, you are going to compromise all of your hormones, not just your sex hormones. We're talking about insulin, thyroid, leptin, everything. You got to take care of the machine. And these hormones are essential that they're like in balance. They get out of whack, you feel terrible. So PCOS, if anybody's on the call or listening who has PCOS, I think you probably know this, but it's basically like a metabolic syndrome. So you want to manage your blood sugar, and losing weight can help with PCOS. Important nutrients: vitamin D, zinc, DHA, which comes from fish oil, and fiber. Actually, fiber is great for all the hormones. And then if someone has high testosterone, metformin is a medication. You'd have to get that from your doctor, but just to inform you, that can help. Sometimes they give that to women with high testosterone. And then again, the bioidentical hormone treatment, if you're low in testosterone, a little cream on your wrists. Again, talk to your doctor about this, but it can be like, whoa. Okay, I think that's it for the slides. I want to go out of screen sharing and say hi and see if you all are still here and see if there are any questions. The other two things I want to talk about are sleep management and stress, but I also want to make sure we address, all of you who showed up today, to see if you have any questions or comments. Wanda?
Hi there. So how do we know about the different hormonal levels? Who tests that? Our OBGYN, or like who, and how do we ask for that?
Excellent question. Thank you. So important. Okay. So in theory, I would like to think that the GYN doctor is going to be the one who really is going to be the most knowledgeable about this. No. Wanda's saying no.
No.
Me too. I've been there. Michelle, you just went onto screen. Do you have a suggestion as a practitioner? I don't want to put you on the spot.
I am kind of
we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, I'm on my speaker. No, I'm chuckling because yeah, I'm in the field of GYN and midwifery, and all of my patients are transitioning. I'm transitioning into this peri menopause stuff, and so I'm exploring how to offer this kind of testing. And often I hear people tell me they go to their GYN, they do a blood test, and they're like, "You're fine." And it's so blood is such a poor marker for these kind of hormones. So there's I'm working right now with a midwife who's mentoring me for the next year on all this stuff. And so, I can stay in touch with you, Jill, and you could send people my way to do actual like saliva testing. And then there's also urine testing that kind of gives a more accurate picture of what's going on with people's hormones and their cortisol, their stress levels, all that kind of stuff. But it's not a little hard to find, and it's pretty expensive if you do find somebody that's doing that kind of stuff. So I feel like it's a big barrier for people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thank you, Michelle. I'm going to mute you just because there's some kind of feedback. So I agreed 100%. I think for not everybody can go and get these tests done, you know, the urine or the saliva. First start with the blood because your insurance is going to cover it. But we need to find practitioners who are, okay, so your estradiol is low. What do we do now? You know what I mean? So it's really about finding a good practitioner. I will say, I'll get you in a minute, Lori. I see your hand. I have a woman local for anybody who's local in Rockland County, who I collaborate with. She's a nurse practitioner, and you can go see her at the clinic where she works. It's covered by insurance. You're not going to get, you know, an hour with her. You're going to get 15 minutes, but she can do the blood work if anybody's local, and I can give you her name if anybody's interested. Yeah, so that's the challenge, right? Because it is, you know, there's a test called Dutch, which is a urine test, and we do that in our program. Actually, I'm collaborating with Yvette Sims, for anybody who's local who knows her. I'm collaborating with her because she will be doing those sorts of things, the lab work. There's another lab called ZRT, like Tom, and that is a saliva test that's very, very good. So if you have a practitioner around you, because I see some people here who are not local for sure, you seek them out. Now, one resource that we have that I got from somebody who was on my podcast is A4M. The letter A, the number 4, and then M like Mary, is an organization that the doctors who are members and certified, it's like an anti-aging board certification that they have. Those doctors will be well versed in bioidentical hormone treatments, because it's not just the testing, it's also the getting the bioidentical hormones, right? So A4M is a good resource. And if anybody's in the Florida or Louisiana, there is a woman who is on my podcast who does that kind of testing. Lori?
I was going to ask you, would it be wise to go see an endocrinologist?
In theory, yes, because they are, you know, that's part of what they do, right? They're kind of in the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, right? So dealing with thyroid hormones, and they can, if you have insulin issues, they can help with that. But the problem is that it's very hard to find a good endocrinologist. I have yet.
Okay.
And the ones that I have met, they all do concierge service. So I have one in DC, if anybody's calling in from DC, who's amazing, but she really specializes in obesity management. So, you know, if you don't have obesity, you might not want to go to her. But, and I met a woman in New York City who's an endocrinologist, but she's concierge. I can't find her name now though. Yeah. I wish I had a better thing, but from my perspective as a nutritionist, as a, I guess you could say, you know, a holistic health coach, if you want to call me that, it's like this. Yes, sometimes you could be doing everything lifestyle and diet wise and still have your need help with your hormones. I mean, that's me, right? Like I'm pretty healthy. And I still needed to take some testosterone, and I still take Chase Tree and Sulforaclear because, well, I'm also I still have my period, but in case anybody's wondering. But I'm, you know, perimenopause, it shifts a little once you go into menopause, right? Things shift a bit, and the research is not quite as strong. But even me, someone who's doing all the right things, I still needed that support. So we really need both. We a lot of us, right? Some people, maybe they can sail through without any supplements or bioidentical hormones, but I think most people could use a little touch. And anyway, even if you are doing okay, I see, Pamela dropped off, my friend Pamela. This woman she's always taking care of her body, super healthy and everything. But, you know, I mean, sometimes people, you could say, well, why wouldn't I want to step it up a notch? You know, like I'm doing great. I mean, honestly, my perimenopausal symptoms were not that strong, but I was not going to settle. I was not going to settle for having my breasts hurt all the time and weird menstrual cycle things. I wasn't going to settle for that. So I took these couple of supplements, you know. So I see Wanda, you're in DC. Okay, I will give you Dr. Renu. She's amazing. Carla's coming back. Sophie, would you recommend taking progesterone all through the month or stop when bleeding and start again at day 14? Also, is pill or cream better for absorption? Sophie, thank you. Great questions. So the general wisdom around either chaste tree, chaste tree is a botanical that supports the endogenous production of progesterone. Your body makes it on its own magically. It's like magic. Or if you were going to take progesterone cream, you would want to take it when your body, so mimicking the natural cycle, which is progesterone really starts to increase after we ovulate. So day 19, 20, 21, it's really, starting to go up and up. So, if I would start with from day 14, 15, 16, something like that, until you get your period or the chaste tree. But if that's not helping, so I'm at the point now where I take chaste tree all the time. I take it every day because I noticed after a while it wasn't working as well when I was taking it later in my cycle. Darby?
Which company do you order it from?
It's called Pure Encapsulations.
Okay, thank you.
Encapsulations. And so good question. So Amber, and I was about to say this, chaste tree is not as well documented to help postmenopausal. That's the problem. Again, is it that they're not doing the research, or is it that it's just simply not enough? Darby?
I'm on the other side of this bridge, and it's fascinating listening. I went through menopause. I actually never went through menopause, but I stopped going through menopause when I was 52. I am now 76. And I have been on estrogen all that time. I had a hysterectomy, so I have eliminated 4 types of cancer, which is great. So I'm not on progesterone. Anyway, if you should ever decide that you want to continue with HRT, it's a bitch, because the average, I have not found, other than New York City where I came from, and she's retired. I've been now to Mass General and Brigham, and they both believe strongly that you should not ever continue HRT past 5, 6, 7 years. As you probably all know,
past menopause.
right. As you probably all know, the Women's Health Initiative did so much damage to all of us, but I ignored that. And since the 18 years have passed since that report came out, turns out that breast cancer actually was reduced by people who took estrogen. Cardiovascular, however, is increased. So I just know to keep a real good eye on everything related to cardiovascular. But all I want to say is, it is literally so far impossible to find a physician in the Boston area who deals with 70 and 80-year-olds who still choose to be on HRT for a whole bunch of good reasons. And I do know there are risks, of course. There are cardiovascular risks, but the breast cancer. I'm sorry, Jill. So I'm on my soapbox, and I was hoping you might have something different to say about this. But the last one I went to, basically, they all say, no, you should just stop. And I go, wait a minute. There's so many studies that show that estrogen keeps more collagen in your skin. It keeps elasticity in your skin. It helps prevent osteoporosis. It does a lot of other good things in your life. And
Dementia too.
You will also notice I happen to have inflammatory arthritis, which is not related at all to estrogen. But it turns out when you do a lot of studying about inflammatory diseases, they seem to all happen post-menopause. It's really interesting how much happens to women when the estrogen and the progesterone come to a halt. It's fascinating.
Right.
So anyway,
so
there you go.
Thank you for that.
You can't find anybody who will deal with the older generation. So God bless all of you.
Right.
You're kind of making me cry because I have said no to estrogen and I am 64 years old. And here we are having this whole conversation and I'm like, I have no sex drive. It's like, I feel I put stuff on my face, and all this, and you look amazing. I was like,
yeah.
Whoa.
Well, yeah, you're also too late. Unfortunately.
I know. That's why I'm going to cry.
You're too late.
Well, wait. So, so your healthcare needs to be personalized to you. That's very important, right? So the problem is that a lot of the research that's been done has been done on synthetic estrogen, and it's called, what they call it is unopposed. So someone like Darby has not been taking progesterone. It's different. If you go to like A4M and you talk to these practitioners who are using only bioidentical hormones, they will tell you a different thing. They'll say, yes, we have to be careful of the risk for heart disease later on. But if you take bioidentical estrogen and progesterone together, then that offsets that risk. So Darby, I would go to A4M. And if not, I have this woman that I spoke to on my podcast. She was incredible. She is in Florida, but I'm sure she would do a call with you.
Which she could. Great.
Yeah. And Lori also, we can talk, but she believes very firmly and everything that I had read was the same thing. What Darby said was, once you're 10 years post menopause, it's dangerous to take estrogen, but that's based on synthetic estrogen, not bioidentical. So, and if you don't have any other cardiovascular risk factors, it might be worth it to have that conversation with somebody who, not me, I'm not a medical doctor, right? So I can't say, but I think there is hope. Let's put it that way. There is hope. Also, testosterone. You can always take testosterone. Again, talk to your doctor about that. So Sandra, very informative, birth control pills. Yeah. So, and the other thing I want to say is, listening to Darby and Lori is like, that's why I'm like, I really wanted to talk about this because there are other women on this call who are still menstruating and saying, oh, shoot, I better learn about this now. Right. And that's how I feel. Thank God I learned about this because I'm 52. Man, I'm going to be taking the bioidentical estrogen and progesterone. There's no question. Now, I don't have any other risk factors, so that's kind of a no-brainer for me. But we need for women to find this out earlier and not be brushed off at age 38 or 42 or 45. Like, I don't feel well. Oh, it's just menopause. Or, Sandra, you started the pill when you were young, but putting women on the birth control pill at age 48, 49, 50. Oh, you're having terrible menopause. You have fibroids. Let's just put you on the pill. And what the pill does is it says to your body, step aside. We got this.
Right.
And it disables your natural mechanism. And it just does the job for you, which is, believe me, there are many women who have thanked the Lord that the pill existed, right? But I am very upset about doctors who don't say, well, what are you eating? Are you exercising? Are you sleeping? What's your stress like? Or they just, or give them sulforaclear, which is like amazing for like PMS type, like estrogen dominance type stuff. I mean, it's amazing. It's like, it felt like a miracle to me. And I don't usually talk like that. Those of you who know me know that I don't really talk in like so extreme, but it's, there are many things that can be done. Many things that can be done. So the pill, now it's been 15 years and I'm wondering if there's a whole world, Sandra, of people who talk about how being on the pill for a long time affects metabolism, affects skin health. So it could potentially be an issue in the weight. And soy can be, so soy contains something called phytoestrogen. Phyto means plant, so it's plant estrogen. And phytoestrogen is one of the friendly estrogens. It's not one of the bad ones. So flax seeds also contain phytoestrogens. Yes, I mean, you can use soy. Soy is problematic because it's GMO and it's usually so highly processed. I mean, if you're taking a soy protein, it doesn't have the phytoestrogen in it anymore. It's like been processed out. So, but like soybeans, natural soybeans, like eating it naturally, potentially, but flax seeds also can help with that, and you have less issues. And also flax seeds have this wonderful fiber. Fiber is great for estrogen and hormones in general because it binds with, because what happens is your body produces these hormones and then it's got to get rid of them. How does it get rid of them? It goes back into your gut and you poop it out. The fiber binds with estrogen and it helps facilitate it going out. So if you have estrogen dominance, you want to take, everybody wants to eat fiber anyway, unless you have GI issues that prevent that. So we don't necessarily want to promote estrogen. We want to balance it, if that makes sense. But sometimes people do need that. And sometimes you take a little bioidentical estrogen, but again, that's talking to the doctor. I also just briefly wanted to mention sleep because progesterone is very important for sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually relaxes the body. It's actually the term that's been used in research is has a hypnotic effect. Doesn't that sound nice? So if you're having sleep issues, you might want to address progesterone. It also helps with breathing. And what happens is sleep apnea, that's where, you stop breathing in the night, right? It wakes you up. It can cause people to feel very tired because now they've woken up 10 times, 20 times, 50, 100 times in the night. They don't even know. Sleep apnea is very bad. If you're sleep deprived, if you wake up tired, you definitely want to explore if you have sleep apnea because you may not know. But what happens is sleep apnea is very common in men, not so common in women until guess when, Darby, or whoever was, whoever said that, postmenopausal, the problems start coming, right? That was Darby.
Yep.
Postmenopausal women have a higher risk for sleep apnea. Why? Because progesterone is low. So just some things to think about.
Jill, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to hop off. But before I do, and I will contact you because I'd love the name of that lady. Maybe we can do a virtual. There's one other thing I just wanted to say because I do so much reading on this because I'm having such a hard time finding a peer group of people who, like me, just decided that the women's health was wrong. It was just wrong in so many ways.
Right.
Anyway, what I wanted to say, and I will leave. There's also been meta studies recently completed, like in the last 2 years, which the other problem with taking estrogen for decades was blood clots. And it has been determined that if you use the patch, if you use an estrogen patch, they also have patches that are both estrogen and progesterone. I only need an estrogen patch. It has now been shown clearly in a double-blind random study that the patches of estrogen do not cause blood clots, whereas the oral estrogen, HRT, can. It's not common, but it can. And I will leave on that note, and I'm sorry, everybody.
Thank you.
Time, but there's so much to this. And
no, I appreciate your input, Darby. I do.
I will contact you about this woman that I would love to talk to.
Yeah, sure.
Bye, everybody. Good
Bye.
luck.
Thank you.
Good luck with your journeys. Good luck.
Yeah, and a lot of that again was the synthetics, right? So we want to focus, unfortunately the bioidentical is just they're not doing massive research on it.
Yeah, it's a lot better now. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Amber left. Bye, Amber. I see you have to go. Wanda, go ahead.
Synthetic is the HRT.
So HRT stands for hormone replacement therapy.
Okay.
And typically when people say HRT, they're talking about and they're thinking about synthetic.
Okay.
Yeah. If you hear the word bioidentical, then it's the more natural, I guess you could say, form. It's more bioidentical. Marlene?
Is bioidentical, does that mean it's made from, well, I get a lot of animal literature and I see these horses hooked up for
Yes.
Premarin,
Yes.
like a torture.
Oh, I don't know about that. That's a whole nother thing, but it does come from horse urine.
Yeah, it's like they just keep the horses, just they get them pregnant and then
Oh my
and
gosh.
then they're just like, they're like prisoners, and it's just horrible.
Oh, well,
So if that's the source of the
horrible.
bioidentical, I don't know if I could do
Yeah,
it.
that's something to keep in mind. I wonder if there are, if there's a variation in that, like if they're all like that, that's definitely something that I'm going to look into. Thank you for bringing that up. It's, gosh, it can't just be simple, can it?
Sorry, I was hoping it wasn't the answer.
As far as I know, it's horse urine, but but there may be variation in the sources that you can get. But that I cannot speak to that, but I can certainly look into it, because you have me very curious about that. Horse humanity, that's not the right word, but you know what I mean. Horse treatment, humane treatment. Okay, so we just have a few more minutes. Any other questions, comments?
I just wish that I had a little bit more knowledge 10 years ago. That would have been good.
I know. But Lori, I wouldn't lose hope. I would not lose hope on this. I think that there may be a possibility. And you don't live that far away. I mean, maybe you could,
Yeah, I know. It's just that there were like the several things that were mentioned, like because I had a mom who had Alzheimer's. There are cardiovascular issues in my family, so there's I'm listening to this going,
yeah,
there's a lot going on.
Yeah. We'll chat. Michelle?
I was just going to throw my name. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Just throwing my name out there. I, at this point, can just do blood testing in my office. I'm in Harrison. Jill has my information. So definitely can, see you for an annual visit, a GYN visit, and can prescribe bioidentical hormones. So like I said, I'm kind of moving in that direction. And so for those of you on that side of the bridge, I'm out here.
Yeah, and Lori is on your side of the bridge. And Wanda, you wanted to remind me to email you the Renews info? Okay.
Yes. I'm going for a procedure in 14 days, and I'm just outraged. That's how I'm feeling right now. That my doctors is like, all of this is like nothing, and they're talking about synthetic. They're talking about HRT, and I'm like 10 years after menopause, and I'm like, no one has told me this, So yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking about, I'm gonna stop that procedure until I find more information. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, not being a medical doctor and not knowing your history, I can't say anything about that. But
it's like, I'm outraged. I'm just upset that, no one has taken the time. Hey, these, that, no. It's just, take these.
Yeah. I'm outraged too. I'm outraged for you, Wanda, and for all women. For Lori, it is a crime, and the problem is that our medical system is like, it's so male dominated, and it's run by men, and the whole system is built that way, it's fine for every man to take Viagra if they need it, but here are all these women suffering.
I've been saying that for years. What about us?
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
But I will make another plug, and Wanda, I put the Renews website in there. It's pcwait.com. She's a concierge doctor. She's wonderful. She's not an expert in bioidentical hormone treatment. I will
I
say
have
that.
to run. I have
Okay,
to
Lori,
say
thanks. I know
goodbye. Thank
we
you.
went over a little bit. If you have to run, please do.
I will
thanks,
talk to you.
See you, Lori.
Thank you.
Yep. But I will just make a final plug for that foundation is your diet, your lifestyle, your mindset, your thoughts, how much you move, how much you sleep, all of that is the foundation. And any treatment that you would get, like whether it's bioidentical or any kind of medical treatment, is going to be supported by what you're doing in your own lifestyle, what you're eating and all of that. And I feel very strongly about this because I've also seen, like in Facebook groups, and people have talked about how, oh, well, I went on hormone therapy, but it made me worse. Yes, it could have been synthetic and problematic, it wasn't done properly, but I think a lot of times if we're so out of whack because we have a lot of inflammation and our blood sugar's all over the place and all of that, no pill is going to fix that. We have to use them like synergistically, I guess is the word.
Well, I believe I have too much testosterone because of the facial hair, no libido, like all of them are there. But at the same time, I am pre-diabetic or have pre-diabetes, and they gave me metformin.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, like, but it's just these pushing pills and take these and you're going to be fine. Hey, it's not that. I need more than that. I need you to look and check.
Yeah. The levels should be tested for sure. Any doctor who just says, oh, I'll give you some testosterone. Like my doctor tested my testosterone levels before she gave it to me. So your levels should be tested before anybody prescribes anything like that. But also, yeah, unfortunately, the system is not set up to treat us holistically. Pills are great when they work, but they can't. A pill is not going to fix all our problems, So, on that sad note, Sophie, did I talk about sleep? I talked about how progesterone helps with sleep. I think I need to do an entire lunch and learn on sleep, just sleep. Because sleep I could take another hour to talk about sleep with you all. There's so much that can be done. One of them is progesterone. Sherry says, yes. Okay, next month, let's do sleep. Because I call myself a sleep champion. I have figured it out. And believe me, it wasn't always like that. So next month we'll do sleep. I hope to see you all here. Thank you for getting onto Mighty Networks. I know there's a little bit of a challenge there, but I wanted to have everybody in this community so we can chat. All right, well, thank you. And also I will send out an email linking to our program that gives you information. It's more of a self-guided program. It's not that much money, but it's, if you want more information, because we talk about insulin, leptin, and cortisol, and thyroid, as well as these hormones that we talked about today. They're all in it together. We have over 50 hormones in the body, so. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time. Bye-bye.